Welcome to the Building Materials Sales and Marketing Podcast, presented by Mark Mitchell, a sales and marketing consultant who specializes in helping building materials companies overcome difficult sales problems. Mark is the author of the book Building Materials Channel Marketing and a frequent speaker at industry events.
Hello, this is Mark Mitchell from Wizard Strategy. Today, I want to talk to you about, we'll call it the coming recession and how you can turn this to your advantage. Now, you'll find that I'm not predicting that there's a recession right around the corner. I'm probably the most optimistic guy that you will ever find. When there is a recession, I always look and say, well, let's just refuse to participate in the recession. But at some point, we know that, what goes up must come down. At some point, our economy will slow down, maybe a little, maybe a lot, maybe parts of it. Maybe it'll be across a broad spectrum of the economy. But at some point, it will happen. Now, what I want to talk to you about how you can use the recession or the idea of the recession to help you grow your business is by using it to help your customers. What I want you to think about is being the company that your customers want to do business with. Being the company that your customers have the most respect for. Being the company that your customers feel is a partner that is interested in about them and their future and is constantly trying to offer suggestions of how they can be more successful. Now, if you're that kind of company, all of a sudden the competition has a little tougher time. All of a sudden pricing is a little less of a problem. All of a sudden, when something happens that normally would really upset a customer, you've got more deposits built up in your savings account of goodwill that enables you to weather storms like that. Now, recessions. Why I'm talking about recessions is, first of all, people will do more to avoid a loss than they will to potentially gain something. So if you would say to somebody, make an extra $10,000 by doing this, you will get less interest than if you say to somebody, you could lose $10,000. When I see this every week when I write my newsletter, in which if I have a subject line which is positive, which is about how you can do better, that pales in comparison to when I have a subject line that talks about the problems with something or mistakes people make. So in following along that, imagine that we'll say that you are a roofing company and you sell, one of your important customers is roofing contractors. And suppose that you provide, whether it's a guide, whether it's just an article that you write. But the idea is how roofing contractors should prepare for the next recession, or how roofing contractors should be prepared for the next economic downturn. Now, a headline like that, a subject line like that is going to get a lot of interest. So think about whether you are in the window business, the flooring business, HVAC, siding, on and on. It really doesn't matter. It also doesn't matter whether your customer is the contractor is certainly going to be influenced by a recession. And many contractors are maybe some of the least equipped to know how to deal with it, but independent distributors are going to be affected by it. Dealers, like lumber dealers and other types of building material dealers, will be affected. And even architects will be affected and can use some advice and would appreciate it. Now, home builders will definitely be affected, but the NAHB does a great job of helping to communicate. Builders have plenty of resources. If a builder was my primary customer, I still wouldn't walk away from this, but builders are probably the people that have access to the most information about what to do in a recession. Now, you also have to look and say, you have some customers who have been in the business for a long time, so they have been through many different downturns or recessions. Then you have probably more, who have only been through our most recent, we'll say 10 years ago, 2008, severe downturn. And so that may be their only experience with it. And then, frankly, you have people that if, our last one was over 10 years ago, that haven't really been through one in a, we'll say, position of leadership in their business. So I just want to kind of lay that groundwork for it. Now, you do not have to provide the end all be all of advice for how your customer should deal with a recession. Okay. Your number one point is simply that you are offering some thoughtful advice. And that number one makes them go, wow, thank you for making me think about this. I'm really glad, boy, why other companies don't think this way. They're just worried about selling me more product today, not about what my future is going to look like. The other thing that happens is whether or not you have the most in-depth, accurate advice and so forth isn't also the point. It's basic, practical, common sense knowledge that you're simply trying to get them to stop in their busy day and for a minute think about the future of their business, which many businesses don't do often enough. So if you're the person that simply gets them to stop and think about, wow, at some point we're going to have a recession. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know when it's going to come. I don't know what it's going to set it off. And I don't really know how it's going to affect me. But, there's probably a few things that I should do to be prepared for it in any eventuality. And if all you did was get them to think that way and to start thinking about it, even if they follow none of your advice and they do some other steps of preparation, it's still a good thing. It's a good thing for you and it's a good thing for your customers. Now, for example, if I were looking at particularly, we'll just say, contractors, but this works for every one of these customers. So the first point is that they should step back and take a good, cold, hard look at their balance sheet, their financial strength, how much debt they have. I am not a financial expert, but this would not be hard to have someone put together some common sense, practical information. You don't need to give them what the balance sheet should look like and so forth. It's just the idea that, is your balance sheet, is your financial position, are you in a good place to move in if sales were to drop off 20%? What would that look like? How much debt do you have? And other things that have to do with finance. And some customers give credit. Those customers are likely to get burned if they maybe they should start to think about tightening up some of their credit policies. But so the first thing I would recommend would be that you would tell your customers to look at their financial strength. The next one I would recommend, and these are just a list of my ideas. I'm sure that you have your own and could be different depending on the type of customer that is. But the next thing I would do would be to tell them to review their customers. Are they with the right customers? If one of the things I would look at is to say, if we had a severe recession, which of the customers you're selling to today, which of them would maybe go out of business? Which of them wouldn't be able to pay their bills? So are you with the people that are going to be able to weather the storm of a downturn as well as come through stronger? Those are the people that you want to be with. And even if you don't have those customers today, you should be taking steps to try to get those customers or move toward that type of customer. The next area I would have you tell your customers is for them to become even more focused, even more recognized as an expert in a certain area. So, for example, if it's an architectural firm, they are perhaps kind of experts in hospitality design, hotel design. I would recommend that they get even better. If they're back to our roofing contractor, they need in their local market some sort of reputation. Joe's Roofing is the roofing contractor that you want if, or the best roofing contractor for something. And so the more that they focus and are known not just as another architectural firm, another lumber dealer, another roofing contractor, but are known, distinctively known, differentiated from everybody else, that will also help them weather the storm. And then I would ask them to look at the market. Who are they selling to today? If they're focused in new construction, do they think that that is going to go down in the recession? And can they pivot over to the remodel and repair market? Or some companies I think are going to get really hurt that are doing really well in multifamily. So if they're very strong in multifamily, I think multifamily is going to be one of the things that will drop off the quickest. And there's going to be a lot of people, if they're not selling into other markets or other ways, other types of customers, are really going to be hurt. So I think they need to think about what markets are they in? Is that the market you want to be in? What would they do if that market went down? The next really important area today is people. And I would tell the customers to look at their staff, look at all of their employees, and look for how they can strengthen them. Particularly anyone who interfaces with the customer. Your customer should have people that are very strong that their customers want to deal with. It's also a great time to start to put in place, we'll say, labor. Installation labor is a problem for a customer. You start to sow the seeds or build the reputation that you're a great place to work so that when the recession comes and some of your competitors have to let some of their better people go, that you're in the position of that's who they come to you. The next area I would tell your customers would be to look at their marketing. Many building material customers, contractors, distributors, dealers, architects are poor marketers. They try and they know they need to do things differently, but they really aren't on top of it totally. And so any advice that you can give them there, and the advice can be simply to tell them to look at it and make sure they're doing the right things and they're measuring things. It doesn't have to be that you tell them specifically what to do if you're not confident in doing that. And then along with marketing comes for them to evaluate their sales. How are they making sales? Who's responsible? What's the process? When was the last time their salespeople or person had some outside training, gave them a fresh perspective, sharpened their skills, got them ready? When was the last time that happened? That would be something that I would tell you to tell your customers. Then the next one is to, review their competitors. And I touched upon this back when I talked about people and labor, but I would tell your customers to review their competitors and look and say, okay, if we went into a recession, how are each of my competitors going to weather the storm? Okay. Some of them are going to go out of business. Some of them it may be time to give up the fight and they really want to sell. Okay. And some of them are going to do okay and they'll come through stronger than when they come out of it. But it'd be good to sit down and just kind of do a little analysis. If I were a roofing contractor, I would want to do an analysis of the other roofing contractors in my market that compete with me and get a sense of which ones are going to be in most trouble and which ones are going to be the strongest. And the ones that are going to be in most trouble, who are their customers? And I might start building relationships with those customers today. And then finally, and maybe most importantly for you, the reason that you should be doing this is another thing that's critical is your customers should be evaluating the suppliers that they deal with, the brands they sell, the companies, the brand of shingles they sell, who they buy things from, products they recommend, products they stock, products they carry, whatever, depending on the type of customer. But they should step back and say, am I with the right company to go through a challenging time? And you want to be that company. And by simply pointing out that at some point in the future, the economy will decline, things will soften, things will get tougher, things will change, but you're recognizing that you're prepared for it, and you've even thought about your customers should be preparing for it. That kind of sends a strong signal that maybe we should be with this supplier because of the way they think. let's go clear back to the beginning. The idea here is for you, once again, to be the preferred supplier in your category. Gee, I should be doing business with this company. I'd like to do business with this company. Maybe you're the most expensive one, but they'd still like to do business with you. You should be the preferred company they want to do business with. And the way you do that is by showing your knowledge and showing that you care and that you're trying to help your customers to be more successful. Now, putting something out there like this is not something most companies would do. It is something that will get a lot of readership and attention and appreciation from your customers. And there's not something on the horizon today that says, that we're going to have a recession in a month. So now it's time to tell your customer how to react to it. It's best to do it now before it's even right in front of us. And because you'll be the only one probably that puts this information out there. So I hope this has given you something to think about as maybe a unique or unexpected way to help you improve your sales by making yourself more valuable to your customers. If you've ever liked some outside thinking to help you solve a problem, to grow your sales, give you an outside perspective to improve your efforts and results today, that's what I do. I'm a consultant. I come in, meet with you, study your situation, and then work with you to develop a better solution and move you forward more efficiently and faster than you are today. So if you'd ever like to talk about having me help you grow your sales more effectively, please contact me.
Thank you for listening to this podcast from Mark Mitchell on building materials, sales, and marketing. We hope he gave you some fresh perspectives on how to grow your sales and will listen to future episodes.